All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Joining us right now, it's been a long time, Tom Tancredo, former Republican congressman from the great state of Colorado, 2008 candidate for the presidency. And welcome back, sir.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
All right, always a pleasure to have you. I want to talk about a unique angle here, unique story that hasn't gotten a lot of attention, but you've written about it. The Mormon Church and their support for Muslim immigration. And you've written about and asked the question, will that be an impediment for that voting group voting for Donald Trump?
Yeah. And man, I'll tell you, I've gotten a lot of nastygrams in my life for things I've said and written, but this one comes to just about the top. You should have seen. It really blew some people's stacks, but especially over at Red State. And, you know, it's an issue that I've dealt with for a long time. When I was in Congress, I ran up against it. I noticed that every time I had somebody that was, you know, a major Republican who was opposing my efforts on immigration, turns out it was a Mormon. It was kind of confusing and it was odd, but if you look into it a little bit, turns out that they have a pretty strong stance that you and I would certainly not agree with in terms of illegal immigration. And you think, well, why? You know, well, it's got to do with a lot of things, but the church itself, it appears, is in a way it's like the Catholic Church in terms of wanting to put, you know, butts in pews, if you will.
Right.
And they know that a major source of their new converts comes from Latin America and South and Central America. So that's part of it. But when I was in Congress, a weird thing happened. All of a sudden, I got a call from the Washington Post, and the guy says to me, "Did you know that Senator Bennett from Utah actually put a funny amendment into his ag bill about immigration?" And I said, "No." We look into it. Sure enough, he did something that provided this huge loophole for any religious group that was providing sanctuary for terrorists. And I called him on it. And what he told me was he had a request from the attorneys for the Mormon Church to do it in order to protect their president, because they send out a lot of missionaries and the letters come out from the bishops that are signed by the president of the Mormon Church, and they didn't want him, you know, they didn't want any liability to come to him if, in fact, they ended up with people who ended up doing some bad things.
So you're saying, because that was my question, you know, it begged the question, why would they care about Muslim immigrants specifically over the ones that I don't think many of them are going to convert, you know, into their church, but you're saying it's to protect the missionaries from their religion that go overseas, that if they could waive this letter or have it be known that they were fighting for their immigration to the United States, they wouldn't be victimized by terror.
That could be it. It's a kind of a convoluted thing, but that is exactly what he told me. It was a request of from the lawyers for the Mormon Church, and it had to do with the liability of the president of the Mormon Church. Anyway, when I saw all these things about these articles appearing about, quote, Trump's Mormon problem, I hearken back to that, and I talk about the fact that I guarantee you should have seen the response. Deseret News, which is owned by the Mormon Church, by the way. Did you know that?
No.
The major paper in Salt Lake City is owned by the Mormon Church. Very
interesting. So very briefly, do you think, we got 20 seconds, do you think Trump could overcome this or not?
I do, because I think most Mormons, you know, it's a lot like even Catholics. Most Catholics maybe don't buy into the liberation theology of the Catholic Church.
Right.
And I think most Mormons don't buy into this open borders thing.
Very interesting. I'm glad you tackled this, Congressman. Good to talk to you. We'll have you back soon. Thank you, sir.
Okay, bye-bye.